Live shots which are currently coming in from Bihar's capital Patna. This is the wreath-laying ceremony which is on of Havildar Sunil Kumar. We are seeing the wreath-laying ceremony and the guard of honor here in the presence of members of the 16 Bihar regiment, in the presence of the state government there, members of the state assembly as well. And these have been similar images of what we've been getting in from across the country. Earlier today, Sepoy, Gurtej Singh's village in Punjab, in Mansa district, are left in a complete state of shock because they're mourning the loss of their brave soldier, Gurtej Singh there, who had joined the 3 Punjab regiment just 1 year ago. Mortal remains of the soldier will reach his village tomorrow. But people are, of course, coming in, paying their condolences to the family there. And in one of the first names of confirmation who lost his life in this clash, senior officer Colonel Babu, who was in fact the commanding officer of the 16 Bihar regiment, who got killed on the spot there in the clashes at Galwan Valley. He had led the disengagement talks with Chinese and the Chinese counterpart in the area. Remember, disengagement talks with China that have been on since late in the month of May, spilling into June, till this absolute shocker that took place Monday night. Colonel Babu's mother Manjula says that she's proud of her son. She's devastated, of course, but she's saying that she's proud that he sacrificed, her son sacrificed his life for the nation.
One of the officers, he told me that, uncle, okay, I'll call you later, I'll inquire and I'll update you. So what was going on, I too don't know, that he told me. After half an hour, from 2:30 onwards till 4 o'clock, several higher officers of the army, they have contacted directly to my phone. They told me that they are making arrangements to get the body from the place to Suryapur, wherever we want to perform funerals. That we want to perform funerals here only.
And Havildar K. Palani, the 40-year-old soldier from Ramanathapuram, has also died and lost his life in these clashes. The tragedy in his life here being that he had skipped his birthday party, he had skipped his housewarming ceremony as well, which was on the 3rd of June, and this is to guard the country's border. It was the same day that he also spoke to his wife. This was the last conversation that they had for just about 4 minutes. And ironically, very tragically here, his family is going to be receiving his mortal remains at the same home, at the new home he helped built but had never lived in.
18 வயசுல இருந்து மிலிட்டரியில வேலை பார்க்குறாரு. கடைசியா வீடு நிலம் தூக்கி வைக்கிறதுக்கு வந்திருந்தாரு. இப்போ 3ஆம் தேதி அவர் பிறந்த நாள் அன்னைக்கு தான் வீடே பாதுகாச்சுனே. வர்றதுக்கு லீவு கிடைக்காதுப்பா, பிரச்சனையா இருக்கு, வீட்டை முதல்ல பாலை காய்ச்சிடுமான்னு சொன்னார். அவர் மட்டும்தானே இருந்தாரு.
Getting in these live shots coming in from Patna. This is, of course, in what we've seen in other parts of the country here as well, as and when mortal remains of our martyrs are being received by their family across different parts of the country. India salutes martyr Sunil Kumar. A wreath-laying ceremony now that is taking place in Patna. These are the images of which are coming in from Patna. Sunil Kumar, martyr, who in fact succumbed to the clashes that had taken place in the Galwan Valley. This is, of course, that continues to be on a very tragic note because the number of losses that we've suffered, 20 in all, including a commanding officer of a senior level here of the 16 Bihar regiment, and in more inputs that continue to come in regarding this across the country. Tanvi, this is of course in the aftermath of the grief-stricken family here, along with the full guard of honor of what we see now in the Bihar state capital in Patna. This is of course specifically regarding martyr Sunil Kumar.
Sunil Kumar in fact, was from Behta, and which is in Bihar. He survived by a wife and 3 little children, and he was part of the Bihar regiment, which actually saw the largest number of casualties. It's the Bihar regiment whose commanding officer was targeted by the Chinese. It's the regiment that's seen the biggest loss in this clash that has taken place. And Havildar Sunil Kumar was actually one of that team. There was actually, for this specific instance, a bit of a confusion that earlier happened, because there were 2 soldiers by the same name, and inadvertently, some communication gap, the wrong family actually got the information earlier, and there was one family, Seher, in Bihar, that obviously had a nightmarish of a night, because they thought they had lost their loved one, only then to be relieved in the morning when they were told about this confusion and the mix-up. Of course, what we are looking at right now are the mortal remains of Havildar Sunil Kumar being brought back from Patna. They will now be taken to his hometown, to his home village, where the family will finally then lay him to rest. Earlier in the day, all 20 of the soldiers were also given a tribute in Leh, where the bodies first came together. And from there, of course, they're all being now sent to their respective hometowns across the country, from West Bengal to Bihar to Tamil Nadu and other parts of our country as well, Seher.
Yes, and of course we're also looking at a loss at a very young age. Someone who had a very young family. Sunil Kumar is survived by a wife and a daughter who's merely 3 years old. This is of course losses. Any kind of loss of whichever age is hugely devastating to any given family, but especially coming in for a very young family such as his here. So he's left behind his wife and just a 3-year-old daughter there. It's going to be, of course, a very difficult time now for the family there, Tanvi.
Yes, to the point that you made, Seher, and rightly so, in most of such instances, unfortunately, the casualties that we see are extremely young lives. Now, these are, the soldiers who are at the front line, recently recruited in the last few years. A lot of them are 20, 21-year-olds, young lives that are lost in such kind of a clash or a battle or a terror attack. Of course, in this case, we have seen even their commanding officer who is older, but even for a CO, he was relatively young, had just taken charge 6 months ago. This was his young battalion, the 16 Bihar regiment. One of Sunil Kumar's counterparts from West Bengal, his colleague, was actually just, I think, 21 or 22. And while he was there, his family was talking about, arranging his marriage and finding him somebody to get married to. That's the kind of dreams and hopes that are being shattered tonight, that have been shattered tonight. Another of his colleagues, in fact, had just joined the army just 2 years ago, and perhaps this would have been his first exposure to a difficult terrain like Ladakh, and now he's no more with us. It's very important at these times to at least speak about who they are, where they come from, their families, their sacrifice, Seher, because these are the men, the young men who actually protect our borders and keep us safe.
That's right. Please stay with us, Tanvi, while we breathe into some of these visuals. This is, of course, a full guard of honor. As we see, we have seen the presence of the government and MLAs as well, and we also saw the leader of opposition there in the State Assembly of the RJD. As part of this very, very important wreath-laying ceremony, before his mortal remains are then further moved on to his hometown. But as you were saying, Tanvi, that this is the 16 Bihar regiment, we have, of course, reported losses from across the country. Army men who were members of the Bihar regiment, and a loss of a very senior officer there, of the commanding officer as well. It's not surprising that when the government of India talks about a befitting reply, and in what we were earlier discussing on the MEA level talks which have just taken place here, in sending out a very terse word to China, to the extent that this has been an outright finger pointing to China, saying that this is all your fault, this has happened because of you, despite talks that continued with mutual trust.
Yes, and very clearly, saying that it is because you, broke the agreement, went back on the agreement from June 6, while we were to disengage and while we were to de-escalate. Your side, the Chinese side, actually went ahead and actually put in a structure there to try and give it some kind of permanency, to say this is our land, even though they were on India's side of the line of actual control. And from there, they, instead of withdrawing, turned around, targeted our team, attacked us, and this has now become very clear, sir, some of the brutal details that have also been reported by other media organizations of how the additional Chinese troops then came in with sticks covered, and laced with barbed wire, and attacked our soldiers. And then, of course, it was the two sides clashing. Once the Indian side's commanding officer of this regiment was actually targeted, his soldiers then went on. This clash happened on our side of the territory. There is no denying of the fact. And now we see a large number of casualties on both sides. India again reiterating that China needs to think about this. The need of the hour is for China to introspect and to reassess and take corrective steps. In simpler words, China must withdraw. That's what we agreed on. They are on our territory. They cannot be on this side of the line of actual control. They need to remember how to respect line of control and go to the other side. That's, in a sense, what the External Affairs Ministry's statement right now says about what Jaishankar told Wang Yi. Seher?
Yes. The brief confusion here that had taken place regarding Havildar Sunil Kumar, as you said, because there were two Havildars from the same regiment here. What came in as a clarification later, the absolute tragedy of this here, that the relief of one family was translated into an absolute shocker for the actual family of Sunil Kumar.
Yes, of course, and for this family, well, their lives would have changed forever. Sunil Kumar was with the Bihar regiment since 2002 for 18 long years. Havildar Sunil Kumar has served in this regiment. It was like a home, like a family to him, and now he sacrificed his life for this country. He's left behind a wife and 3 children from who are in that village in Bihar, of course, awaiting to make their final goodbye. Sir?
Yes, his mortal remains after the wreath-laying ceremony here would then be, of course, further moved on to his hometown in Saran, at his native village in Dhibra there. Tanvi, thank you for taking us through these details on that very tragic note and huge suffering that has come to the nation here.